We are back for another huge day in the markets. We're waiting on earnings from Alphabet as well as Microsoft, Visa here in a few minutes. Absolutely crazy day. We got the FOMC tomorrow. Hearing from our guy, Jay Powell. We're getting 25 basis points. It's pretty much programmed, but still a lot to hear from him tomorrow. Also a ton of earnings from Meta and Tesla tomorrow. What a crazy week. I fucking love it. I'm here for it. As we get going today, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. Nothing Kevin or I say is financial advice. We are not financial advisors. I repeat, not financial advisors. Do your own research before making any buys or sells. Kev, we are in the after hours. The market was positive on the day, just barely. The Dow continued its winning streak. I mean, this winning streak, it's on a tear right now.
Yeah.
It has been absolutely on fire as of late. We saw the NASDAQ up about 0.75 of a point. Big tech had a solid day. NVIDIA up 10.50 a share. Microsoft closing at an all-time high, or near an all-time high when it comes to, ahead of their earnings. And no movement yet in the after hours. I'm seeing it down a little bit. I don't think we have all of the data. Now it's starting to move down. So maybe, we saw this. Yeah. We've seen this with a lot of companies lately. I see Google's up in the after hours so far. Yeah. But the expectations for them have been kind of muted. Like their expectations for, and we'll need to look into ad revenue for both Google and YouTube. We'll need to look at their cloud revenue because that's a big area, but also AI. However, the expectations for them were a little bit more muted compared to some of the other big tech companies. So I think they may have a little bit more room to the upside here. That's playing out so far. Microsoft, however, expectations are sky high, and it's been priced in. I mean, they're up 7 months in a row. They've been in the green.
We just got
Google. Good to see you. Google just came in? Okay. Yeah. Do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, I'm just looking up at Twitter. It says Google just reported earnings, EPS of 1.44, beating expectation of $1.32, revenue of $74.6 billion, beating expectations of $72.8 billion. So they came in above expectations. Okay. So they had a pretty good earnings, it seems. There's probably more data to that. That's just what I'm seeing headline right off the bat. But yeah, that's why we're seeing Alphabet kind of take a little bit of a tick up right here. We're seeing Microsoft obviously down a few bucks after hours. It looks actually it's down $7 right now, so it's down about 2.14%. We're getting Microsoft in about 15 minutes or so. It's supposed to be coming in around 3:20, I believe. But yeah, so Alphabet definitely, for the time being, after hours, doing okay. Let's see if that's sustainable though. We saw some, not manipulation, but we definitely saw some price volatility for Tesla, despite having some pretty good numbers too. So I don't know if the market pushing up this much already is making a lot of upside potential, if there is any upside potential, or if it just makes more sense for the market to sell off a little bit here and take some profits off some of this news. But yeah, that's what we got for Google so far.
Okay. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll get the Microsoft data. Visa should be interesting as well, seeing how they're doing. Once again, we talked about it last week with some of the other credit card companies that are reporting earnings, but that is looking at, the state of the consumer. How strong are consumers? Are delinquencies getting higher? That's definitely something to keep an eye on. Are people carrying higher balances? Are people paying off? What's Visa's revenue looking like? How is it getting revenue? So all of these things are just a piece of a much bigger puzzle. And that's what we're trying to focus on here and put together and use this information to inform our decisions and make the best decisions possible. So 100%. In and of itself, not one of these companies is going to dictate the entire market, except for maybe like Apple or Google could. Take that back. But still, a lot of these things, it's just a piece in the puzzle. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep moving forward with it. We see the dollar is down a little bit on the day. The VIX down a little bit under 14. So there seems to be a feeling of calm heading into tomorrow's FOMC with 25 basis points. Like I said earlier, basically programmed in. That's what we're going to see. It's inevitable. The question becomes, and what's going to move the markets, how is Jerome Powell going to talk tomorrow? What is he going to say about their future plans, about the state of things, how they feel that their decisions have helped with inflation, or do they still need to keep the foot on the gas? I don't feel like it's time for them to take their foot off, but we know that he's going to say at the very jump that they're data dependent, and that's what they're going to continue to rely on. They're going to look at the data. They're going to look at inflation numbers. They're going to look at the jobs market and see, are these indicators lagging too much that we need to do more, or are we in a place in the economy, with how much people had, because this is different than previous, raising cycles, right? Like we have Mark, good to see you, my guy.
Thanks for joining us.
Compared to previous, times of economic uncertainty, coming out of COVID and the pandemic, people had more money in their savings. Right. And so that could mean that these inflation numbers can last for longer, and that the lagging effect of rate hikes, because like we've talked about previously, a lot of these rate hikes, it takes anywhere from like 6 to 10 months to begin to kick in. And that's in a normal cycle. Right now, with how much more people had saved up, the fact that there wasn't as much traveling going on and as much spending going on during COVID, that still lingers a bit. Does that mean that people have more money still tucked away where they're going to be comfortable? They're not going to be as sensitive to inflation, to the job market. So is this going to linger even further, or is the Fed like, no, we need to get a little bit more intense with it? I could see it going either way, where they raise another time, they raise tomorrow, they do it again later this year, or they say, you know what, we're going to raise in July and we're going to wait and we're going to see how this plays out over the next 3, 4, or 5 months. That would surprise me if they skipped a few meetings.
Definitely. I don't think the fight's over yet. I think one thing that we have to keep an eye on is still the small banks. I think the small banks still remain one of the most, dangerous parts of this entire economy. We saw that PacWest today is already in talks with Bank of California to be acquired. They had a halt trading for that because it dropped like 27% today. So they're still in a fragile state, a lot of these smaller banks. I don't think that's, out of the question that any of them are still, they're unscathed by, some of these rates, especially if we keep raising another 25 here. And then whether data dependent or not, going forward, we're going to still see rates stay pretty elevated for a period of time, right? I don't think they're going to just raise 25, skip, and then start pulling them down. I don't think that's going to be the scenario. So we have to keep an eye on that. We also have to keep an eye on, obviously, unemployment. I think unemployment is something that's going to be a lagging indicator. I was doing some research yesterday, and I took some of the data from 2008. And at 2008, right when October, when the major crash happened in the market, we were at 6.5% unemployment. And it didn't tick all the way up to 10% until the following year, that October. So it seems like unemployment is more of, a consequence of recession as much, I was expecting unemployment to lead up into one. I think that we're probably going to see something very similar to 2008, where we're going to see unemployment rise later on. And that might hurt the economy. This might be, a huge time span where we're just seeing consumers absolutely get fucked. And, in so many words, because, all right, inflation is going to be still really high. Obviously the banks are going to be fucked. So, it's going to be hard to take out loans, or we saw a lot of people just pretty much that were in risk assets in 2008 move to treasury bonds, cash. It was a really hard time for anyone that was trying to do anything when it came to getting any credit or anything. In
I love Ace's comment. I'm not falling for their numbers.
They're not real numbers.
Not falling for their numbers. These are fake numbers.
And then look at yesterday too. We saw that groceries have gone up 4.7% from year over year in June, right? Wages are still below the speed in which groceries and stuff like that are increasing. Therefore, consumers are still not in a great spot. We might be resilient. They might still have a lot of savings left over, but I think we're set up for a position where it's very similar to previous recessions where, okay, the small banks are something we need to keep an eye on. They're the ones that are likely to get hit the most with, high interest rates. Obviously, people aren't borrowing at these fucking rates, and if they are, God bless them. But we're not in a place right now where I think that even if the earnings are good for some of these companies, or if we're expecting like, okay, I'm seeing soft landing still coming back, I don't think we're in for a soft landing. I think the stage is set where we're going to see a lot of people get hurt. The only thing is, again, people aren't willing to accept bad news as the truth. And that's going to be a reality check when, 3 or 4 more banks go under. I mean, there's a reason why they're doing stress tests, the Fed, to make sure that these banks are able to survive. We also saw that the FDIC came out against a lot of these banks saying that, you're not reporting, the proper information for us to, federally insure you guys. So there's a lot of banks that are still that aren't complacent with some of that regulation. So right now, this is like a free-for-all clusterfuck. I'm really excited because this is going to be absolutely chaotic. But it's still messed up in my opinion. I think the macro is set for absolute demolition, and I'm going to be there just watching it like Oppenheimer, letting the nukes go off and just, I don't know, eating popcorn, I guess.
Jesus. All right. Well, that's
sorry
dark.
about that.
I guess we'll try to move on from that fun note, Kevin. Good.
Sorry, man.
Lord.
Gotta tell the truth. No one's doing it, man. We gotta be honest.
Keeping my eye on the after hours still. Looks like, different responses here. Google, everyone responding very positively. It's up over 5.5% in after hours trading. After hours is not everything, right? Like we have to see how everyone processes it, and in the cruel light of day tomorrow, how they respond. But so far, Google doing well in the after hours. Microsoft, not so much, down a little over 2% right now. It comes back to expectations, right? Like this entire market, everyone is expecting perfection from these earnings. And so there is, I think, an opportunity to go short based on whether or not, you're anticipating that. And it comes down to, once again, how are other companies in the same sectors performing? Do we think that that's going to translate? It's really, really tough for a lot of these companies to make investors happy. Like we saw it with Spotify. Oh, yeah, they had a great earnings call. Like they missed on, or not great. They missed on revenue, but they added new subscribers well over expectations. Oh, yeah. But because of the fact that it wasn't perfect, they got fucking wrecked today. Yeah. Absolutely destroyed.
People are also pissed about the raising of the subscription too. It's another thing, man. These subscriptions keep going up, but again, people don't feel like people are buying them, but they also feel like, hey, man, I'm still making the same amount of money, but the price of everything else around me still continues to go up. But everyone's saying we're not in a recession, inflation's coming down. A lot of these goods and services, man, you got to keep an eye on. I just want to pull this up too real quick. Twitter, it looks like Bank of California is set to buy, what do you call it? PacWest. Yeah. So both were supposed to report earnings tomorrow. And so we'll keep an eye on some of these smaller banks too, because we still got plenty of them that are coming up. But I mean, look at this. It's pretty wild that both were supposed to report earnings, and next thing you know, one's buying the other out. So
PacWest dumped 27% today.
Yeah, they had to halt trading multiple times.
Wow. I
was going to short it last night too. I shit you not. I was going to, and I didn't. I was like, I can't trust these small banks. Something bad might happen. Should have.
Oh boy.
100x leverage.
Not great. YouTube saying premium going up like $5 a month. That's a damn shame. You don't need to have premium to watch us though, but just to if you're doing it commercial free.
I don't know. I love premium, man. That's like my one thing that I splurge on.
Is YouTube premium?
Oh yeah. That's I mean, the amount of data and information that I consume just on YouTube alone, and people that I just I'll watch hours of, and then plus YouTube music. Man, I don't know. Maybe I might have to. I'll keep it for $5 more. That sucks though.
Oh, you kind of roboted on me for a second there, but I got you back now.
Fucking Xfinity, man. Internet's
dude,
still.
Don't even. Once again, do not get me started on.
Should we short it live on the show right now? Should we short Xfinity?
Concast. I almost said Concast, and it really should be called that.
Yeah, Concast.
Fucking god damn it. Anyway. Man, Google continuing to rip here.
Yeah, fuck.
If we want to look at that chart real quick.
Yeah, let's pull it up.
Nothing shows due to the after hours, but you just see where the price is moved, and that's the blue line is the after hours.
Yeah, right here where it says post, if you guys can see, that's here. I'll put my own little line there. Do this. That white line right there, that's where it is current after hours. We closed here, so we're at 122. Let's do this. This is probably about 6.46% based off what it says in the bottom. I mean, fuck, right? That's pretty good. That's pretty good after hours, considering what a few of the other stocks have been doing lately after hours. So, hey man, if you're holding Alphabet, Google, God bless you. That's a pretty good after hours return. Again, it really depends on how the markets open up tomorrow, because I honestly think that we are getting close to the top of this move. But this is a pretty massive corrective pattern. And is there possibly, some room to the upside? Sure. I still think that, what do I have here? I thought this was the top of the move. I mean, this could double top here roughly around one. I mean, it's gone higher because it's post. So we're up here. So I could honestly just move this to here now. And we could say that, all right, now we put in a pretty pretty good high, higher than what we had previous. But then again, where are we going to be with this gap that we're getting tomorrow, right? After hours gap, we're closed here. Now we're going to have a massive gap here. So this is going to be filled at some point. The question is, when is the move going to happen? We'll have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, this is pretty good start. Look, 131 now. It's opening up tomorrow. Yeah, it's up 7%.
So I'm slowly getting some more information in. It looks like they beat cloud revenue expectations by 200 million.
Okay.
Last quarter was the first time for Google that cloud had been profitable.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. So they continue to improve there. That is a huge part of what they're working toward. Still haven't seen what the different ad revenue is looking like. They're expecting that to pick back up as well, as people were, ad revenue had kind of taken a little bit of a hit. So we'll see there. They beat earnings per share by 12 cents each, so almost a 10% beat on earnings per share, which is good. I believe Visa should be out soon as well.
Yeah, let's take a look at Visa's chart
already, and LVMH is also coming out. Let's take a look at Visa.
Yeah, she's up right now. About 0.3%. Nothing crazy, right? Visa posts higher quarterly profit on spending boost. Let's read this article real quick here.
It looks like they beat on
not even an article.
Earnings per share. They beat on net revenue. Q3 payments volume up 9%. So this is their fiscal third quarter. I'm getting confused right now because this was Google's fiscal fourth quarter, and now Visa's third and Microsoft's second. Like, it's just kind of all over the place.
Let's be honest. It's the second quarter. It should be the second quarter of the year.
Yeah, it is what it is. But
6 months have
looks
passed.
Like Visa did well. While you're looking at that, I'm going to pull up LVMH.
Yeah, I want to talk about Visa, though. I mean, again, obviously these numbers coming in good. That's fine. People are using credit. They're adding more users. But here's the thing. We're talking about a credit event that's coming, right? We got student loans that are coming back pretty soon, payments. And, we just have credit building up. Unless Biden absolutely wipes it out like he's doing for all those young kids in Colorado. We just saw that today, that he's eliminating student loan debt forgiveness for like 7,000 people. But, obviously credit's going to be, if credit's doing well, that probably tells me that a lot of people are leveraging it. And that's not necessarily a great thing. So even if they're doing great right now, they might not be doing great 3 months from now. So just keep an eye on that. Obviously, it's not a huge uptick either. They're up 0.15%. It's even coming down a little bit. So we saw what happened to Discover. We saw what happened to Visa, American Express. Just keep an eye on a lot of these credit institutions, because that's still going to be pretty important. Now, what were you pulling up, JWeb?
LVMH. They're not traded in the U.S. They're an OTC one.
Okay, so that's international over the counter.
Yeah.
Oh, Louis Vuitton. I forgot.
So they have a press release out. I'm pulling it up on my end. Let me take a look.
No trades.
So revenue was up 15%. Organic revenue growth was 17% compared to the same period in 2022. So solid year-over-year growth there. Pretty nice operating margin, 27.4%. Reading through some of the bullet points here.
Spotlight market. See how this looks. They've had a pretty impressive chart here. If I'm looking on the daily, let's see the weekly. Oh, fuck Louis Vuitton, dude. I'm just looking at this chart. This thing needs a correction. I'm just looking at this on the macro. I'm like, this thing has been going up forever since the dinosaurs are around down here. But yeah, this is from 2003 to wow. So they've definitely put in a pretty good move. Let's see if we can find any good gaps that we want to see will be filled. Found a lot on some charts last night. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I'm posting all the gaps and find them, because definitely think there's going to be some industries or some products, commodities, stuff like that, where those might get filled out, and some are even primed for a move. So just keep an eye on those. Again, we're just looking for possible things where money's going to be flowing in and out of. But I'm just looking at this right here, Louis Vuitton. This seems like there's a pretty good gap right here, 803. So where's that from where we currently are? That's about 12% there. I don't know if people buy Louis Vuitton during a recession. Let's see. Oh my goodness. This is interesting. I didn't see you there. Look at this gap. That's a fun one. Look, never tapped before. Two big gaps right there, Louis Vuitton. Here's the COVID lows down here, right? Obviously, I'm just being an asshole here, and I just want to see how far down it would be. Yeah, it's about 42%. So that's interesting to see. I don't know if people are buying LV bags during a recession. Maybe
They
some big
are,
ones.
because fashion and leather goods are up 20% year over year. So
Wow.
here's the thing with Louis Vuitton. Are they being a luxury brand? And we've discussed previously how the middle class is dying and the upper class is continuing to take a bigger piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Is that really going to hurt a luxury brand like LVMH as much as it is for some of these brands that maybe target the middle class a little bit more, right? Like, I think that's something to consider for sure. Like, yes, they could absolutely see a pullback with the absolute, moon mission they've been on. They probably will. But if we think longer term, they're still highly sought after, right? They have their hands in so many different areas. And if we think that the upper class is going to continue to add to their wealth, it wouldn't surprise me if Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy continued to have. Granted, they did say that their Hennessy business has weakened, so maybe not as many people are drinking Hennessy. I never have, probably never will. That's neither here nor there. But
let's take a look
something
at
to think about.
Take a look at 2008, right? So obviously, like, do I think Louis Vuitton's going anywhere? No, I think they'll be fine, right? But again, we do expect, pullbacks at some point. I just want to see what the last pullback was for the major recession. Obviously, I'm not counting COVID, even though that was the first recession that we saw for the triple dip one that's coming. But this went down 62% back in
62. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a pretty good move, right? I don't think
fill those gaps and then some.
Oh, there was a lot of gaps back in the day too. Back when she was, I'm not even gonna. I didn't mean it's back when Louis Vuitton was a lot younger of a company, publicly traded. But yeah, obviously there's some major ones that we're seeing here and there. But I think this is a pretty big gap that looks pretty juicy to me if you're a liquidity hunter. Obviously, this one is probably going to get tapped if everything else is in the market going down. But yeah, so I mean, it's a pretty impressive chart, over the years, but. I think you do have a point with a lot of people who have money are probably going to be the ones. Maybe if Louis Vuitton makes their bags just a little bit cheaper and, they are not as durable, people will continue to buy them. And again, I think it's just more the allure of having an LV bag that people will buy it. So other people know that they have one. I don't necessarily think it's any different from a fucking Patagonia or I don't know, have a nice day plastic bag that you get at the grocery store. But just what I'm saying, it holds shit. Just
listen,
costs
Kev,
a lot more money to hold it.
We just need to be honest. We are not the target demographic for Louis Vuitton, and that's okay. To each their own. However you want to spend your money, do your damn thing. But yeah, we are not the Louis Vuitton primary consumers on this show. So I think we can move on past that one. Microsoft? I just
saw I got their earnings in German. I don't need that. I need it in English.
It looks like cloud operating income beat at 10.5 million. Looks like they are beating across the board right now. It's coming back up in the after hours. It was down significantly. Now it's down about 0.75 of a point. Google is still having a strong after hours, up almost $8 a share, 6.33%. So, solid from tech out there. That could set the stage for Tesla and Meta tomorrow. Tesla is now up in the after hours. Meta is up strong in the after hours, up about 1.5%.
That's one that pisses me off the most, man. I shit you not. What is Meta doing, man? I saw a tweet yesterday that said someone deleting threads from their phone. It's like, well, that was a ride. No one fucking uses threads. It's a piece of shit app. It was absolutely terrible. And
yeah, I mean, we talked about how that, it seemed like it was rushed out as a response to the weekend when Elon was rate limiting people on Twitter.
Right.
And it didn't come out with all of its features. And the first, your first impression is a pretty important one. Like the first time you get someone to Ace asks if we can look at XRP, but the first time you get someone to download and open an app, if it doesn't give them value right off the bat, what's their incentive to go back to that app when you're trying to, especially when you're trying to get someone away from an app they use regularly like Twitter. So I think they a bit of a misstep from Meta right there.
Yeah. Wait till they suck. I don't know, man.
I don't think it's going to impact. It's not going to impact tomorrow's earnings at all. No. But I think it will impact the following quarterly earnings.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they'll have to report on users there. How much money do they put into building that? How many users are they really getting? Are they generating? Like, they're not generating ad revenue from it.
No.
Zuckerberg said he's not going to try to generate revenue until they have 1 billion users. They're not getting 1 billion users anytime soon.
No.
Like, they probably have less than, I don't even know, 10 million active users a day on there. I haven't opened that app in weeks.
I opened, I deleted it the next day. I said, this sucks.
Yeah, I think I posted on there twice, and I was like, no, this isn't for me, and just went right back to Twitter. So I think we'll see that negatively impact their following quarter reporting there. But let's take a look at XRP now. What are we seeing on the charts, Kev?
Absolutely wild, right? So XRP fucked everyone back here when it went to 94 cents. Again, why did it go to 94 cents? FOMO, 100%. I think people were excited that it got listed as not a security. However, it's not over. That was a partial win. They still have to finalize the case, and we see that the SEC might appeal. Can you imagine if the SEC appeals and then they get another judge and then it just says, actually, it is a security? What the fuck would happen? Chaos, right? So that fight's not over. I'm staying away from XRP mainly because it's not at the level I want to buy, but it's got too much volatility and too much risk based off of how much everyone's anticipating this price to move in one way or the other. So for me, I'm watching XRP from afar, and I'm staying away from alts like that are highly contentious, and people are just like so emotional on these. Like again, I said that I got fucked on XRP shooting up to 94 cents. Absolutely did. I wasn't even shorting it, but it just took the entire market with it. So just being cautious and careful, I think, is important. But I saw when it went to 94 cents and I saw the pattern that I was putting in, I'm like, this thing's got to fill this gap. So this is on the daily. We shot up in this massive green candle, right? And we had only came down to test this relatively quick, the next day, and then it just kept on climbing to the point where we were at 85 cents. But we did pull in this this bear flag, right? This is higher highs and higher lows. We broke from it. Now, the weird thing is the way we broke from it, this is also a bull flag. So, I mean, this could just honestly come back up. However, the question is how much support is really resting on this? We got this massive gap that's right here. There's tons of liquidity. Today is, July 25th. I said that if it happened to close the monthly under, 62 cents, 61 cents to the point where it's back in this channel. Here, I'll show you real quick. If it closes the monthly and it fills this back to as a 62 cents and it just hits our head on it and it wicks above it on the monthly, but absolutely closes underneath, then you could tell that this parallel channel is still valid. And I hate to tell you that, but that means there's probably going to be a breakdown to the downside. And I think retesting that 60-cent level is going to be huge. And if it does that, then I don't necessarily think that you're going to be in a great place. Like, obviously this monthly is going to close overbought any way you look at it, right? It was almost overbought already. That candle shot up. Even if it closes at 62 cents, it's going to be overbought. And then you are overbought on the monthly, on the macro, with a parallel channel, right? So you're going to have to come down. And likely if this does break, you're going to be going down to the origin, which is around 28 cents. But I think that if we're at that point, we're going to be pretty deep water in the bear market, where we're probably going to be seeing lower lows, right? We're going to be seeing something closer to maybe 21 cents to 17 cents. That's what I'm targeting. It doesn't have to happen, but I do think that we are going to be in this parallel channel, and we'll probably break from it. So XRP for me on the daily, it's coming down. I think that we are going to start seeing some wicks down here. Maybe we test the 50 moving average on the daily, which is at 59 cents. Maybe just a wick down there. But again, we have, 6 days until the monthly close. If we close in this channel, that's good news if you're a bear. If we close above it, I don't know. We'll have to reevaluate. But again, closing within the monthly channel isn't necessarily the end all be all, but it just shows you that there is resistance at those levels, and not a lot of people are willing to buy above, this parallel channel at this point. Again, FOMO is a hell of a drug, and it pretty much pushed this thing all the way up.
Let's take a look at ETH.
Yeah, I haven't checked ETH in a while actually, so that'd be good. Ethereum. Yeah, it looks like I will say this, just looking at this on the monthly, on the daily, looks like it probably has another pump to the upside, right? Another push up.
So that's what I was going to ask you about. Like, I was thinking about maybe going in for a little ETH trade here, ahead of some more of these earnings tomorrow, some of the FOMC. I think we might get some decent inflation readings this week. So I was thinking maybe a short-term little ETH trade could be in the works. Now, I did see an article from Cointelegraph saying that there was a death cross as they've reached kind of the key level of support. I don't know if you're seeing that. I don't know if that's on the monthly or the weekly or where that is.
I'm gonna take a look real quick. I don't see anything on the monthly right now. This is Bitstamp. Let me see if I can find like ETH. I guess I'll use Binance. Nothing there. On the daily, nothing there. Maybe on the weekly. No, nothing there. I'm not seeing it. Maybe on the 4 hourly or something. It's probably like a smaller time frame. There it is. There it is. The 4 hourly is where it is.
Okay.
So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but again, 4 hourly looks like this will probably break down one more time. I would assume if this is like a rational market, we don't get any freaking fake pumps or anything like that. But yeah, when I look at this on the daily, it does look like there is a pretty good move set up because we are putting in lower lows and lower highs. At the same time, we have to look at this within a macro context where we're going like this. It'd have to find some support roughly around here. And if it does back test this again, you might not be necessarily in the same structure, even though it's going down here. Might only push up a little bit on this one, because at the end of the day, if we look at this on this end, let's see if I can make this fit evenly. Kind of, yeah. You're still putting in a parallel channel, right? You're going making higher highs and higher lows. So this is eventually going to break at some point. When I don't have the answers, but again, this is nothing less short of a parallel channel. This will break eventually, but if you're looking within it to trade, it might not be a bad little trade in there somewhere for a short term. In
that parallel channel, and obviously this is not financial advice. I'm going to make my own decisions. Everyone should do the same. Yada yada yada. If you were, say, making a buy right now at this 1860 level, looking at that channel, where do you think? And I'm not looking. I'm not like unrealistic here. What do you think a good exit price would be? Do you think that it's going to hit, like a 1975, 1950? Just go for a nice little swing trade there. What are you thinking?
I'll give you 3 levels because I'm just looking real quick to see if there's anything important. Just based off this this daily chart, I would say 1935 isn't a bad level. Obviously, we're going to find some resistance because this is where it was prior. If you want to even go up maybe a little bit, how do I clone this? There we go. If you want to go maybe up a little bit higher to this level, and I'm pretty much just using these as our metrics. So 1935, 1980, getting up here is a little risky, right? Obviously, that'd be a hell of a trade, pushing it up over $100. But I'm not gonna be. I'm gonna be very conservative here. I think that we're in a very volatile market. I don't think the market's going to collapse right away. I do think that we are going to be seeing more of that come towards September, October. But I do think that, if there are smaller trades in the lower time frames, might be like that 1937, 1980 level. Doesn't have to hit there, but again, we'd probably have to see some of XRP dominance go down so that Ethereum dominance and Bitcoin dominance could rise, and these could push up a little bit more. So that would be my guess. I'm not entering a trade, just so everyone knows too. Sticking with my Binance shorts and maybe my fuel and energy longs. That's about it.
All right. Well, I'm going to enter this trade live on the show.
I will say this though: if you start losing some of this support, get out. You know what I mean? Like this is a pretty good level of support right here. And I'm not gonna pull it up. Maybe we can even do this. No, I don't even want to fuck with that. That right there is good. That's a parallel channel, but obviously make sure you set a stop loss in case anything bad happens. Yep. I don't want you to lose money, JWeb.
All right, we're in it. We're in this together now. You and me. I made my bed. I'm gonna sleep in it. Just bought 21.5 ETH.
Did you just right now?
Yeah. No.
Why am I sharing the screen?
I don't know.
You should have been sharing that shit, dude. That's more exciting. I'm fucking playing make-believe money right over here.
Well, hey, listen, we're in this together. We'll see how it goes. I am not, expecting anything crazy. My target number is like 19. If we get to 1950, I'm out on the trade, and I'll be happy with that.
DCA out of it. DCA out.
Yeah,
man.
Not looking to light the world on fire here, but I feel good about the structure of this one. And you know what? With all the time I spend talking to you about this stuff, if I'm not trying it out myself and trying to get better here, then what the hell are we even doing, Kevin?
I will say this. Bitcoin, I do think is going to fuck a lot of people. I do think Bitcoin is going to go, start to move to the upside here. I'm going to pull up the chart real quick just because we're already here. Obviously, it's at 29,225. I don't think that we are in a place where Bitcoin is going to break down. I think a lot of people are actually too bearish on it right now. and that's not necessarily a great thing. We're still within the supply zone, so people might be offloading still. And again, I think that this structure with how oversold it is, don't get me wrong, this could absolutely collapse on us, and we could go all the way down to, 26.8. But I don't think that's the case with Bitcoin. Even if I pull up like CoinGlass, I'm just not even going to show it on the screen. I'm just going to look up the rates right now. The rates for Bitcoin currently are even. Some exchanges are negative, so you might see a bit of a squeeze there. But for the most part, I think that this is gonna maybe FOMC tomorrow. Average results, we get what we were expecting. You might start to see some of crypto pump.
It's like, this is the good stuff. Like, let's get this show more degenerate. Let's like really lean into that, and I'm okay with it. I'm here for it. This is we learn, we grow, and then we put that growth into action. And let's make some moves, my guy.
Let's look at the lower time frames too, right? Obviously, we're gonna get this death cross on Bitcoin on the 4-hourly pretty soon. So maybe this does go down a little bit more, retest this maybe 29K level exact. But I mean, if I'm looking at this properly, this is pretty. It can't go down forever in this pattern. We could say this is a Bart Simpson pattern where it just trades like this and it comes back down the way it shot up. And we got Bart's big old head right here. I don't know, man. I still don't think we're out of the way of liquidity hunters, and I think we want to make believers out of people who have nothing to believe in. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens and we push above 31K, we hold there, and then everyone goes fucking long. That's when the true degenerates really come out. So
no false idols, Kevin. Not even Bitcoin. All right, I think that is a good place to wrap it for the day. I got to get to a chiropractor appointment. Get everything straightened out before things really get weird the rest of this week. So we'll be back tomorrow. Not sure the exact time quite yet. We'll put it out on Twitter. Turn on notifications and you should find out when we have it scheduled. But we'll be going live after Jerome Powell speaks, after the markets close, so we can see what's happening with Meta and Tesla. It's going to be a fun one tomorrow. I'm really excited for tomorrow. Nerding out real hard over here, getting to hear. I think it's gonna be a long presser for Powell tomorrow. The last one was pretty long. I'm hoping we get some good questions, being asked to him. I wish they would go via Twitter and I could just like spam questions at Jerome Powell. And they could have to pull up my stupid Bored Ape PFP and ask, Jerome Powell's got to answer a question from an internet monkey. That would be so cool. But either way, hell yeah, tomorrow's gonna be great. Excited for it. Ace, can't wait as well. Thank you, buddy, for the kind words. Should be good. Hopefully, maybe it'll fix my head. Who knows? But thank you, everyone, for watching. If you have not yet, hit some buttons down below. A like, a subscribe, drop some comments, share us out on social, all of that good stuff. See you tomorrow, knuckleheads. Same place, not the same time. Love you guys. Have an awesome day.
Take care, everyone.